Hello students, welcome back to the lecture on decision analysis. This is a part of our module 6 and we are discussing about alternatives, the next step in the decision making. In our earlier lectures we have seen meta decision and framing. I'm going to describe to you an interesting case that happened sometimes during 1979 when 1970 when John Scully, the vice president of Pepsi Cola, actually took over that position, and Pepsi was struggling to catch up with Coca-Cola, and they could not break into the market of Coca-Cola. The people of Pepsi believed that the unique shape of the Coca-Cola bottle was the strategic advantage that they had. And the people even now believe that this is one a brand which you can actually hold in your hand, and the shape is so unique, and Coca-Cola spent a lot of money in developing this particular shape and they patented it as well. So the Pepsi people believed that this was the unique advantage that Coke had, and that was one reason why they could not get into the market of Coke. But John Scully, when he joined, he had a different perspective, right? He thought like there must be other alternatives available and we should not get just stuck with this bottle shape of Coke. So what he did was that he conducted an experiment. He selected 350 families and made them to order soft drinks weekly in whatever quantity they wanted at discounted prices. Okay, whatever be the quantity. And he discovered that no matter how much Pepsi they ordered, they would always consume it. Which means that what we need to do was the designing the different package and not exactly the bottle. And this is very unique. I can actually explain to you this way. Just imagine that in your refrigerator, how many times that you have found items like the Lay's, okay, and then some sweets and things like that are left behind. You will find that there are some jam, there are some ketchup, and there are some milk cans and things like that, which you will find that it's staying for some time. But as soon as you fill them with some junk food, actually, you will find that it gets consumed very quickly. Okay, and you will never see such food items left over in the fridge for a very long time. Actually, so this is what John Scully found. Like, if the people purchase less quantity of these items, they will consume that much. If they purchase more quantity, they will consume more of that. Unlike, say, for example, milk. If you go and ask your homemaker, she will say that we will consume, say, 1 liter of milk a day, 2 liters of milk a day, and things like that. You ask her how many packets of Lay's chips that you will consume in a week, you will not be able to actually say that. If you buy 2 packets, you will consume 2. If you buy 5, you will consume 5. So as much you purchase, you will consume. So the whole thing that Pepsi should do was that they should create a packaging in such a way that it would enable them to sell more bottles. It would enable people to buy more bottles, and if that happens, then the consumption would also increase. And this is what they exactly did, and their sales increased phenomenally. So this is what he found. So I have just described this case to tell you that there are more than one alternatives to a problem. And this particular lecture is on alternatives. Okay, let us look at some of the points. I have listed a few bullet points and many of them are very simple ones. I am not going to be spending a lot of time on that, but I would just like you to look at this Venn diagram. right? This is actually the case that I brought out from a book on Honda and Saichiro Honda. You know, the founder of Honda, Saichiro Honda. What he used to do is, like, whenever he asks his team members to come out with alternatives, he would actually expect at least 4 alternatives. That is, if we are talking about a particular proposal, he will say that you should have some reasons as to why that proposal is right, and then you should have some reasons as to why it should not be implemented. So there is a yes, there is a no, and there should be some reasons for yes and no, and there should be some reasons for neither yes nor no. So there are 4 different alternatives that you are looking at whenever we are dealing with something. So when you start looking at it like this, you are not just stuck with an yes or no answer, like either we do it or not, kind of. You will start not looking at a binary way, but you will start looking at multiple alternatives. And this binary is actually one of the key limitation of our prefrontal cortex. Right. Moving on, one of the ways by which you can generate alternatives is the brainstorming, and most of you will know. And I would like to just point out the last but 2 points is what I would like to look at this, like encouraging all to participate, particularly the introverts. You know that in any team you will have different set of people. Some of them will be very vocal and some of them will not speak, even if you try to encourage them to speak. But their opinion is very, very important for identifying multiple alternatives. So in one of the case, what people say is like, if there are introverts in your team and they don't speak up, what you need to do is that you need to go take them out, spend some private time with them, and then take their opinion, is what people say. If you really consider that an important decision need to be taken, you cannot simply do it by just sitting in the conference hall and then allowing a certain set of people to speak. So this introvert, taking them into consideration is very important. And then you have so the other end of it is the session hijackers. What they do is that they are very vocal and they are very good in explaining things, and they can simply take over the session. So you should not allow that to happen, and you cannot simply reprimand them. You cannot simply tell them, ask them to keep their mouth shut. You can't do that. But at the same time, you have to do a balancing act, allowing the introverts to speak, and then not allowing the session hijackers to take away the meeting. Okay, so this is what I want to say about the brainstorming. Going to the next one, these are all the tips of generating some good alternatives. Okay, there are many points. Let me very quickly go through them, like inviting all kinds of people, like the insiders, outsiders, experts, novices, all of them. And we will be talking about the wisdom of, when we are talking about wisdom of crowds, we will spend a lot of time about involving novices into the discussions. And then so you have to create a very diverse team. Protocols, we have discussed about this during the Cuban Missile Crisis, how John F. Kennedy handled the situation. And playful behavior, you should actually bring in an amount of playful behavior in such meetings so that inhibitions will be avoided, and this kind of protocol can be avoided, and you will find that there is a general positive energy around the place. So that is important. And benchmarking, thinking out of the box, all these things many people tell you, so those are all there. And right, this is something which when we do brainstorming, most of the people will come up with very conventional list, which most of us will know that this is what. There is nothing wrong with it, and we should not discourage that. One way of doing it is like, we should list all those conventional alternatives which the people say right in the beginning of the brainstorming session, maybe the first 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You should list all of them in a pin-up chart. And once you are done, then you will find that there is a stark silence in the room. What you will do is like you will simply remove that sheet and then put it next to it and then say that now you need to tell another say 5 set of alternatives which are not appearing in that sheet. So this way you will actually be looking at generating multiple alternatives. So this is one of the nice technique that I learned. And the tips for generating good alternatives are that the role play as other functional heads. Like if you are discussing in a team wherein you have an operations guy, you have a production guy, you have a quality guy and things like that, both of them will actually be arguing. At the end of it, you can ask them to role play the other. Like the quality guy can become the production man. From his place he can start talking about that, and so this way you will be able to generate multiple alternatives. Conflicting views is another thing that we will be seeing, and revisiting the abandoned alternatives time to time. And I have mentioned this the small elephant. This is a classic case that many people quote. When they catch a young elephant, they chain it with a very strong chain. Strong means for that particular small calf, it's a very strong chain. And the elephant would try to break it, but it would not be able to do that. And as it grows, okay, they will not change the chain. The same chain is what they will be tying with that elephant, but the elephant would stop trying because it had attempted several times when it was a calf, and now it's grown up, and if it really wanted, it could easily break it, but it would not do it. It would just assume that I had tried enough and I don't have to try anymore because I can't achieve. So this kind of a thing can settle in. So you have to start looking at alternatives, the ones which you abandoned at some point in time, again in a new after some time. So that's one thing. The hybrid alternatives that I mentioned, like yes, no, neither yes nor no, and those kind of things. And so the rest of the points are fine. Then I have just listed one point where enforcing a group behavior. For having a group behavior, you need to have a set of clear ground rules before even starting, so that the personality clashes, what we call as an affective conflict, such things can be avoided. And these are all, I have just listed some set of group norms which you may want to use in any of your meetings. And these are also finally, these are all 4 measures or the scale by which you can find if a set of alternatives are good or bad. First thing, they are broadly constructed and not simply minor variations of another concept. So what we normally intend to do is that if you have a particular alternative which is feasible, you will try to develop alternatives which are very close to it, and they are not considered to be alternatives. You have to develop very very different alternatives, and they are genuine alternatives that do not exist for making another alternative appear superior. Like for example, if you have already made up your mind on a particular alternative, and if you start building other alternatives which you pretty well know that they don't actually exist, but it just shows the existing alternative as superior, then you are not identifying the right alternative. So that's not a good quality alternative. They must be feasible and they are sufficiently numerous. You should have some good number of alternatives, like about 3 or 4, and it cannot be say 40 different alternatives. If you have that, you will not be able to make a decision. So what my suggestion is that take a decision that you have made, and then look at the alternatives that you are considering for a decision that you are about to make, and then see that all these qualities are there for those alternatives. Thanks for watching.